Hello, tubers, and welcome to Cooper's Thai Adventure. Welcome back. Today's topics are three I'd like to cover, some useful tips included. Number one, things I've learned about whys. Second thing I'd like to talk about is research. How to do it, why to do it. And lastly, a couple tips on how to retire earlier than you think in Thailand. So moving on, the first thing I thought I would discuss of the three is how to do effective research and why you should do it. Now, my opinion is the best way to learn about any subject is to research it yourself. You know, people can tell you things and, you know, you can sit in front of a blackboard, but until you actually do the research yourself, I'm not sure you're going to get the benefit of that. Now, you know, a lot of you might think, well, I'm too old to learn anything new, or, you know, why do I need to do this, or, you know, learn about that? But that's simply because you've been stopped in learning somewhere. And the reason people have trouble learning is it's called barriers to study. And I found this out. I took a course. I was 32 years old, had my BA, had my MBA. You know, I was a good student, I thought, and you know, I like to study and I like to read, and but you know, I'd be reading a book, maybe this happens with you, and I'd get to the bottom of a page and I wouldn't have a clue what I had just read. Like it was a fog, I was fuzzy, and I thought, well, Jesus, you know, and I'd quite often go back and reread it. Well, you know, sometimes it helped a bit, sometimes not. Sometimes I just didn't bother, kept reading. But yeah, that's what happened. I got this, I signed up for a course, I was 32 years old, and it was how to study. And I thought, okay, well, it was a short course, 5 or 6 hours in total. No one taught you. You actually researched on your own in a desk, in a, you know, a workbook. And I thought, well, this would be interesting, you know. And sure enough, within the first 10 minutes, and I'm 32 years old at the time, I realized, my God, I had an epiphany. This is why I had that fog and I didn't understand what I was reading and had to go back, and what a waste of time. And when I was done the course, I wished I had learned this information at a much younger age. And the issue with learning any subject is, it's called the barriers to study, and there's only three. The main one, that's what I'll focus on today, is the misunderstood word, and it's called an MU for short. And I'll give you an example, and this actually is a true example, happened to me. I understood the word pier. Number one was spelt different ways, P-I-E-R, meaning, you know, it's something you'd walk out on the ocean or, you know, off the shore. But no, the one I misunderstood was P-E-E-R. And that can mean two things. Number one, you look at something, look into it. Or secondly, and this is where my confusion was I thought a peer was someone above me. Oh, they're the smart guys. They're, you know, I was going to get judged by my peers. Well, these must be the elite. And for years, that's what I assumed the meaning was. In reality, it wasn't that at all. It was a person who was equal to another in abilities, qualifications, age, background, and social status. And the reason I bring that point up is how do you understand words? Use a dictionary. So in other words, if you're studying a subject and you know, if it's foggy to you or you don't understand it, most of the reason people quit studying something or don't want to do research is this misunderstood word. There's a word they've covered. They think they maybe understand it, but they don't. So how you clear that up is actually use a dictionary to clarify the meaning of the word. And that'll be a godsend. It hit me, it was an epiphany. You know, oh my God, the light turned on as to why I was having trouble studying all those years in university. So why I'm saying that today is when you're doing your research, and that's what I recommend everybody do, whether it's into, a form of investment or, research, living in Thailand or, going over budgets even, make sure you understand completely the topic you're looking at. And if you're having trouble with any of those, it's because of likely a misunderstood word. And boy, with these cell phones today, you can sure Google something real quick and find it out. So that's a big benefit. Now, sure, I'm 70, but I'll tell you what I did. As soon as I learned that information, I took that back home and I told my kids about it, and I've also made sure my grandchildren know all about that study technique and why the problem, if they're having an issue with studying a subject in their schooling or don't understand a topic, that's the reason why. So they all use the dictionaries and make sure they understand the words, and so that's useful. And how that ties into today is, when I'm going to talk about Wise, and it's a great product in my opinion. But I'm not going to tell you, the step through. There's lots of videos do that, but the best way to learn about it is do it yourself. Walk through it, read through it before you do it, and you'll, understand it completely. That's the Wise card there. And why Wise is so great, as you're probably aware for those of you that use it, is it's a great way to transfer money affordably, and I find very quickly. Wise itself, a little bit of history on Wise. It was started in 2011 in the UK. It's UK regulated and audited there, as well as in the US. So it is any country that they're operating in that has those regulations, they do comply with them. So it's pretty well overseen, let's say. Which, backs up a point of, is it safe? And I think it is. There's millions and millions of users that use Wise. They basically have 3 platforms, and I would even say a 4th here. There's the Wise card for personal use, which I use. They also have a business Wise. So if you had a small business anywhere, you could set that up and, have that as a separate set of books, say. They have what's called a Wise platform, and that's for big businesses, banks dealing with banks, and large corporations dealing with the same. And that's not our topic, but and lastly, and this is getting into one of the things I didn't know, and you probably don't, about Wise, is that they actually can pay interest to you. Now, there's only certain currencies, if you hold it in their accounts, and I believe it's the US dollar they'll pay interest on, about 5%. The British pound, and I think it's close to 4, a little over, as well as the EU currencies, which is euro, which would be in a similar between 4 and 5, I believe. So that was something I wasn't aware of, and something you might be looking at, and it's paid daily, which is kind of nice. So if you're looking into that, I would Google and do your research on Wise interest, how it's paid. A few other things I realized when I looked at Wise is the fee structures are pretty well the cheapest out there at 0.63% for a transfer. Well, that's pretty darn cheap. And their rates for exchange are terrific compared to, say, in my case, the Canadian banks were going to offer me. So that's another huge benefit. Now, here's something interesting I just found out, and I subscribed, was you can get a rate alert sent to your email on an exchange when it hits a parameter that you get to plug in. So, for example, if the bot's at 36.9 and, you can put it in there, if it exceeds that, you'll get an email. So you can set your own, exchange rates for, and that's in US dollars. I also set one for Canadian, as I have both accounts. So we'll see which one does better. But so that's a good thing to be aware of. Rate alerts are available to your email. The Wise interest, I covered that, so that's a good thing. And lastly, and this is getting to be big, I'm not into it, is digital cards. So I did show you what I have is the hard card. It's like a credit card. It's actually a debit, against your Wise. Now, Wise is not a bank. It's a money services platform. So, you know, but it's almost like a bank to me, because it holds their money in the dollar account or the baht account, or in my case, I have a peso account, Philippines. So it's held there, and unfortunately, Canadians can't get interest. So, you know, that's the one thing that was kind of interesting. But with these cards, there's you can get a digital card, and I've seen people in Thailand using their phones to pay for products and services wherever they are, 7-Eleven, for example, at the malls. And I'm positive that these digital cards, if you didn't have access or say lost your physical card, you could use the digital card to do that. And you know, you'll keep it in, I guess, your Google Pay wallet or your Apple Pay wallet is how it's set up. So now that's the good news. The downside is, unfortunately, from what I've researched, the US is not applicable for the digital card. It's only for UK, Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, Malaysia, Switzerland, Canada, Brazil, and the EU countries. Anyways, that's the list of countries that I found that you can actually use a digital card on. So, to sum up on the whys, those are the things that I found that maybe a lot of people didn't know they could do. I also did find out that the maximum transfer you can do on Wise per day is 2 million baht. So whatever your exchange is, and when I looked at it, I think it was 55,000 American was the largest you could do in a single transfer. And a daily transfer, that is, yes. But there's different ways to load it. You can do it through a wire transfer, a bank transfer, you know, direct bank to bank, so to speak, as well as credit cards, and I believe even debit cards. So there's different ways you can fund your Wise account. I simply use the bank transfer. You know, I have a US bank as well as my Canadian, and whichever rate I like, I just put it into the account. So it works slick that way. You can use it as for an ATM withdrawal, but I would suggest strongly when you get here, as soon as you get here, try and get your Thai bank set up, because there's no fees for the ATM withdrawals from your Thai bank. I personally use Bangkok Bank, whereas with Wise there was about a $6 per withdrawal. So, you know, you'd get the maximum they'd allow you. I think here, when I was still using it, didn't have my Thai account, it was 30,000 baht I would take out for the $6. So it wasn't the end of the world, but anyways, just to sum up, yep, it is regulated and licensed in all these countries I mentioned. Millions of people use it, so it's a safe. I was asked that, is it safe? But, you know, in my opinion, it definitely is. Now, reasons why your card might not be accepted, and this actually did happen to me a couple times here, and I thought, well, Jesus, that's odd. You know, I thought, well, is there a problem with the card? That was my initial reaction. But it turns out, when I did the research, not all the businesses that take cards are set up to accept the Wise card. It's not compatible, their system. So that could be the reason it's not accepted. As well as they do sometimes block a transfer for security reasons, and that's basically to protect you. So I would think that's more in a high volume or an odd transfer that you typically wouldn't do. I know when I did my first transfer in, it took a couple days, and they'll tell you that when you look at the research, anywhere from 1 to 2 days to get the money. But I found the more often, after about 2 or 3 times that I contributed, it started to get instant. So that's good. And now it is instant. As soon as I transfer it from my Canadian account in Canada, it shows up instantly here, and then I can transfer it instantly to my Thai baht. So I don't have a waiting period. But so that works out. And that's probably because I've been with them 2 years and I've done, various transfers. I would say the max I've done is, under 1,500. American, and yeah, so that's would be the max I've done. That's about it for the Wise. Now, in closing, a couple tips on how to maybe retire earlier than you had planned. And the reason I thought I'd bring that up today is I see a lot of comments, a lot of emails. Hey, I'm looking forward to it. Can't wait to get there. I'm 5 years away. I'm 7 years away. I got a 10-year plan. I'm only 2 years away. various time scales. And I thought, you know, I wonder, like, everyone has their plan, and that's good. You know, and these guys that comment have their plan because they've stated it. But is their plan geared to their home country? Because that's what my plan was geared to. You know, when I was doing my saving and budgeting, hey, you know, I'm living in Canada, I want a winter in the States, I want to keep that going even after retirement. Well, here's what I figure I'm going to need here, and boy, add it up, and that's what I'm going to need, and I'm going to need that monthly. And that's what I think a lot of people plan for and are, you know, working their retirement towards. But that's going to give you, in my opinion, a false number should you decide to live in Thailand. And the reason is simply the cost of living here is, you know, anywhere from a quarter to a third of what it would be in the West. So, you know, if you're budgeting and you need $5,000 a month or $8,000 a month or $4,000, whatever it is, you can way cut that back for living in what I consider a terrific country for, you know, a quarter of what you would need in the West. So that the point of that little story is to go back, take another look at your plan, do your research, and see, hey, maybe I could, instead of having $1 million saved up, which I figure I'll need to survive in the West, maybe I can do it on 300,000 or less or a little more in Thailand. And again, do your budgets and do your research, and you know, simply ask questions, because you might find that that 7-year plan might go down to 4. And that 5-year plan might go down to 3. You know, that's just, you'll make that call. But that might be a way to look at an earlier retirement than you had planned. And then the last tip I would say, as you're probably all aware, I did research on Bitcoin. And I did a lot of research. And boy, did I have to clear a lot of words. You know, I had a lot of misunderstoods. And the only reason I bring that up, guys, is the best performing asset in the last 10 years, and this is up to the latest statistics, 2021. So the 10 years up to the end of 2021 was Bitcoin at 230% return per year on average. The next best was the NASDAQ at 20% per year return for the 10 years. Wow, if you know, can allocate 1 or 2% of your portfolio to Bitcoin and get those type of returns, maybe your 7-year plan cuts in half. You know, will it? Time will tell. But don't rule it out. Best thing is do your research. Hopefully now you can understand if you have you want to quit the research or it doesn't make sense, so you read a page and you can't understand what the heck it's talking about, go back, reread it, look at the word. Well, there's a word there you don't understand. Get your dictionary out, get the definition of the word, and it should help you immensely. It helped me. Well, that's about it for today. So please do us a big favor. Hit the like and subscribe button. It is absolutely free to do that. And tell your friends and stay tuned. There'll be more videos coming. Until next time, may the force be with you.